MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the Mid-Morning Park on this 18th day of January 2023. I hope you are doing fine wherever you are. Welcome to this weekly program which deals with various issues that are affecting us as Kenyans. And of course, every Wednesday we have guests in the studio who help us to be able to put into perspective on these various issues. My name is Paul Kagi on behalf of my co-host Mangicho Mola, who is not in today, but I'm here for you. If you want to talk to us, we have our contact lines, but before we go on, today we shall be handling three issues. Number one, the Form 1 placement and the state of junior secondary. Also the issue of lessons from the Ruto's visit at Nyanza region, and also Chebukati exit and the future of IEBC. If you want to talk to us, we have our SMS number, that is 23814. We have our WhatsApp number. You can also text through our WhatsApp number, that is 0721 105 105. You can also check us on our FB account, MBCI TV, our YouTube account, we are live, MBCI TV official, and things wanna be all right. And today, we want you to respond to the following question. Are you satisfied with preparation for the commencement of the junior secondary school? Are you satisfied with preparation for the commencement of the junior secondary education or school? Text number 23814, WhatsApp text number 0721 105 105. And without much waste of the time, I have two gentlemen in the studio. I want to give them a chance to say hi to you as they introduce themselves, what they do in the Republic of Kenya. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program this morning.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Paul.
How has the year started?
Well, people are busy, having spoiled themselves over Christmas.
Yes.
They are now trying to bury, or rather try to recover from the hefty expenses during Christmas festivities.
But now they are now picking it up.
Yeah.
We thank God.
Yeah.
Yes. Your name and what you do?
I'm Peter Kibunja Njoroge. I'm an educationist as well as a political analyst.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me here today. And as you have just said, is that we have come from the Christmas session, and now we are ushering in the new year, and we are now looking into how the new government which has taken over will be able to fulfill its pledges. And apart from that, we are hopeful that the economy will improve. So in short, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Kinyanjui Kombori. I am an agriculture and climate change expert. Also, I'm an educationist, and on top of that, I'm a political analyst. So all these into one. So yeah, I'm happy to be
Welcome so very much.
Thank you.
And as we start, I want us to relook at one issue which is very key here regarding the president's visit in the Nyanza region. And we know Nyanza region is one of the areas whereby the president, as he himself said, he got a very low percentage in terms of the votes, 1%. And when he went there, we know that he told the people of Nyanza that this is your government. And we know from the history of this republic that when the president is not elected in one area, there's a tendency of some sort of discrimination. People feel this president is not ours, the government is not ours, and sometimes they accept the situation. How would you take the president's visit in Nyanza region and the reception that he got? Do you think, or what was your recap on that visit? I start with Mr. Kibunja.
Yeah, I think things are changing in this country, Paul. And we are seeing the true attributes of a true leader. Because by our president going to the western region,
Nyanza region.
Sorry, and knowing very well that this is the area that he did not get many votes.
Yes.
He is passing a message to the Nyanza people that we should bury the hatchet and forget the past. because future should be our challenge. And now that, as he was talking to these people, he is telling them that let's forget what happened and we focus our attention to the future. And again, you see, a good leader should not have some scores to settle, because once you are elected, you should raise above the regional politics.
Yes.
And actually, this is what the president portrayed by going to Nyanza and assuring them development and telling them now we should move forward because this country is bigger than any other person. So to me, for the first time, we are seeing proper leadership in this country.
Yes.
And our president, our dear president, is spearheading this and taking the preeminence of it and telling everybody, see, I'm not a president of one region, because he doesn't want to tear, you know, this country into pieces. And I think we should lag behind him by forgetting the past and focusing on our future.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Kaimbori.
Yes, I think what we are seeing right now here is the president putting in play the 48 laws of power.
Yes.
Because as much as we see Kisumu or that area of the western region, which is 90% affiliated to Azimio, of which they didn't give him that huge chunk of votes, he's using them to his advantage.
Yeah.
And using them, I mean in a positive way, in terms of, in fact, the second law of among the 48 laws of power says that you tend to learn more from your enemies than from your friends. So enemies meaning political differences, not enemies in terms of personal differences. So for him, going to them, he will learn more because he's surrounded with friends whom he cannot learn more from them. Most of them, they are yes men, and getting to learn more from them, you can't learn anything different. So him going to that area of Kisumu, he's going to learn more from them, because they said categorically that, yes, you are the president, we acknowledge that, we respect that seat of the presidency as much as also we respect you, but we are going to do our sole mandate of oversight, that is the opposition. So they are still in the opposition, and they are going to do their work of oversighting him. So what I'm saying is that it is a good gesture, because as I usually say, is that in politics there are no permanent enemies. So now we are seeing them coming together. They have put politics behind them. And just remember that one day in politics is a lifetime. So what we are seeing is a huge power play in anticipation of 2027.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, and it's a tradition that whenever the president wants to visit Nyanza region, he has to consult the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, even this time around, although the leader is not around. But is a tradition, right, from Kibaki's government, Uhuru's government, that if they want to visit that region, they have to consult him and most probably to accompany the president to that region. But this time around, it was the opposite. What do you think of that?
Well, as I said earlier, Paul, that politics in this country have gone another level. And I can see our president trying to apply the law of love. If somebody may be prepared to fight with you, and he has already, you know, consolidated the weapons to attack you, and expecting you to come also armed so that you can fight, and you decide to approach this person with a weapon of love, you know, you are armless, you are for peace. Sometimes this is psychology, and it is also in the Bible, that when your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. And he will burn with the shame, because he was prepared for war, but he has found somebody full of peace.
Yes.
And I think I would say this is another level of maturity. And I think after the elections, there was some dissatisfaction in Nyanza region, and they were talking so many things. And they expected our president also to fight back. But instead of fighting, he's approaching them with a lot of goodies and a lot of love.
Would you say that is also a form of healing because of losing election?
Yeah, and I think this is the best thing. Because I'm sure Nyanza has healed greatly.
Yeah.
And really, we really need, because if you see the type of reception that our president was given at Nyanza, they did not expect Nyanza region to be among the first regions that the president was to visit.
Very true.
See? And when he went there, he went ahead and commissioned many development projects and such. And you see, this is giving Nyanza region a time to call themselves for a private meeting and they evaluate themselves.
Yeah.
We are prepared to fight. But whom are we going to fight with? Because the person they thought will kind of gather all forces and ensure maybe Nyanza region has been dismantled, is now coming as a friend of Nyanza and promising a lot of goodies.
Yes.
I think this is the type of true leadership that we need in this country.
All right.
Because Nyanza is Kenya.
Very true.
Yes.
Yeah, Koimbori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just to just add on what it has been said on the same point is that what we are seeing is people waking up and smelling the coffee in terms of realizing that development also everybody needs. And also remember, the president realizes that for him to uplift the economy of Kenya,
Yes.
he has to develop all counties in Kenya, especially the blue economy. Remember, Kisumu is entitled to a lot of blue economy,
Yes.
and the marine sector of it. So if he does not bring development to that area, then it means that the economy of Kenya will not increase as much as he wants to. And also remember that Raila, or His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, and also Ruto, both of them garnered a lot of votes. If you look at it statistically, it's almost 50-50%, because they almost garnered 7 million. So it means that they both have a multitude of people. It means that they are both leaders at their own capacity. So it means that him going to Kisumu is him extending a hand of agreement and understanding between the two. And let me just tell you that it is not that he went to Kisumu without the knowledge of His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. Is that the only thing is that Raila Amolo Odinga gave his lieutenants, or the people who are actually within his party, the sole mandate to actually welcome him. So if he has given that delegation, he has delegated that duty to his people, then automatically it goes that he gave that blessing for him to be welcomed, and everything goes well. So I think also looking at 2027, Ruto, the President Ruto is actually looking and playing his cards well, because he doesn't know what will play out in 2027.
Yes.
Things might fall out between him and the Deputy President. And if they do fall out, then he will actually need the people from Kisumu or Western, because that is the only silver bullet that is lying in between. If Gachagua decides to run for presidency, he will actually look for an mate from Kisumu. If Ruto decides to go for presidency, if they will have had a disagreement with Gachagua, they will actually go to Kisumu. So for them, they need Kisumu as much as Kisumu needs them. So this is a huge playing card they are playing. As long as the friendship does not break, then Kisumu to them is the final card for them to actually succeed in 2027 and beyond.
Yes, and before we join our reporter Vincent Kimutai, who shall be giving us an update from the ground on the same, there is this issue of the president himself is trying to develop a culture of making devolution really work together with the government. You know, in the previous governments, there was that tendency of seeing as if the county governments are so independent that they cannot sit on the same table with the executive. But now you see, the president is, I think, is so much focused on working with governors from all regions in the country. How would you see that, Mr. Kibunja?
To me, I would say that that is a plus. And that is a lot of wisdom, because infighting will weaken our ability as a country. And learning from the past, our president has noted that if counties will be left alone and the national government alone, there is no way we are going to realize our dreams economically. Therefore, it is important that we concert our effort together, our energy together, for us to be able to achieve. And I think this is what the presidency is doing, realizing that single ability may not take this country anywhere. If the county government will stand on its own, it is going to affect our development. But if the national government and the county governments will come together as a united force, we are going to achieve a lot.
Yes.
What we can achieve in 5 years, we can achieve it even in 1 year or 1.5 years. And this is a true fact. It says without going that a president who does not incorporate the county governments will not realize in all the plans or the national plans that he has for the country. So I think we are on the track.
Yeah.
And this time, I want to tell you, Paul, we shall this country catapulting to a great level of economy.
Yes.
Within the shortest time possible. Yes.
Mr. Koimbori.
Yes. On the same point, my belief is that the devolution aspect was a good thing. Remember that it made it possible for money to trickle down to the common mwananchi. But the biggest backdrop of devolution is especially the MCAs, the county assemblies. These are the biggest problems because the county assemblies, they are the ones who are holding governors at hostage with this devolution money. And remember that once they hold the governors hostage, they demand more than they're supposed to be given, just to feed into their greed. So corruption is one thing that has actually killed devolution. The other one is the lack of proper policies and legislations that will be able to put the MCAs in check, because they're the ones who are actually impeaching the governors left and right. And when you look at the reasons behind it, is because they want more money, because they didn't get this and that money. Look at the case of Kericho. The MCAs, actually the president read the Riot Act on them. Look at Meru, we had the same problem. Look at Nairobi, we had the same MCAs saying they're going to impeach Governor Sakaja. So when you look at all the MCAs in Kenya, there is a huge disarray and discord in terms of them trying to do the oversight role, but in an ill-mannered way. So, but devolution is working, but as long as the legislatures come up with a law that protects the governors and at the same time keeps the MCAs in check.
All right. Now, if you are watching us, MBCI TV, and our SMS number 23814, our WhatsApp number 0721 105 105. We are live on our FB, MBCI TV, our YouTube, MBCI TV official. And today we are asking you one question because this is our main topic today. Are you satisfied with preparation for the commencement of junior secondary education? Are you satisfied with the preparation for the commencement of junior secondary school? We are looking at the issue of the president visit in Nyanza region, and we have our reporter, Vincent Kimutai. I hope, Vincent, you're getting me wherever you are. We want to speak to some people in the Nyanza region to tell us and to give us their take on the president's visitation.
Shukran sana Paul Kage ukiwa upande wa pili wa studio, na leo tumeweza kuzuru hapa kuweza kuzungumza na Wakenya kuhusiana na ziara ya Ruto siku ya Ijumaa pamoja na Jumamosi wiki iliyopita katika eneo pana la Nyanza. Na katika ziara hiyo Rais William Ruto aliweza kuzindua miradi mbalimbali ya maendeleo, ikiwa ni pamoja ni ujenzi ama makazi ya bei nafuu katika ya kaunti ya Homa Bay. Ni ziara ambayo iliweza kuzua mjadala humu nchini hasa katika viongozi, ikizingatiwa kuwa Rais Ruto aliweza kupata kura chache sana katika eneo pana la Nyanza. Lakini hapa leo tuko hapa tunazungumza pamoja na Wakenya kuhusiana na ziara hiyo. Je, mtazamo wao ni upi kuhusiana na ziara ya Ruto katika eneo pana la Nyanza? Na tutaweza kuanza kuzungumza na huyu hapa hivi. Je, maoni yako ni yapi kuhusiana na ziara ya Ruto katika eneo la Nyanza hivi majuzi?
Mimi maoni yangu naona akienda Nyanza maoni yangu ya kwenda Nyanza alienda ili alete Wakenya pamoja. Unajua wale watu wa Nyanza bado wanaona ni kama huyu jamaa sio president. Wanaamini bado kwa baba. So alienda ili wamuone waweze kujua huyo ndio president wa Kenya.
Kwa majina naitwa Joseph Kimani. Ziara yake ilikuwa ni ya manufaa, kwa maana ni kuonesha ujasiri wa kuunganisha taifa. Iwe ulipiga kura upande hii ama upande ule mwingine, sisi wote ni Wakenya.
So nafikiri Wakenya wanapaswa kujifunza kwamba ni wakati huu sasa kusahau siasa na kuweza kumbatia miradi ya maendeleo hasa kwa viongozi.
Inafaa hivyo kwa sababu sasa viongozi hao ndio wanatenganisha watu, lakini sisi raia, sisi tuko tu pamoja. Kama ni maendeleo ipelekwe kila mahali, mashinani kila mahali, na watu wakae kwa umoja.
Kwa majina ni Justus Nakuti, Ziara ya Ruto Nyanza ni muhimu sana, ambapo tunataka, unajua ile uchaguzi mwingine hakupataka kakitu pale. So anataka aanze mapema, ndo 2027 ikifika atakuwa kona wafuasi na atakuwa ametengeneza miradi zake huko Kisumu. So kuna miradi zilikuwa zimeanza, hazikuwa zimekamilika. Alafu kuna hizi nyumba za bei nafuu alifungua kujenga. Yani ni kuunganisha Wakenya wote pamoja. Isionyesha ati ni president hakuchaguliwa Kisumu na ameenda kutembea. Yeye ni president wa Kenya. So mahali popote anafaa ingie. Kulingana na mikakati zake aliweka na kampeni zake vile alipiga, ndio hizo sasa ameanza kukamilisha. Alisema atatembea pembe zote za Kenya, na saizi amekuwa Kisumu, amekuja akaenda Bomet. Kulingana na vile anazungumza na manifesto yake, ndio hizo anakamilisha kwa Wakenya. Viongozi wanafaa wajifunze, hata kama mahali fulani sikupata ama nilipata, inafaa watembelee wote. Hiyo ni Kenya na ni nchi moja, na lazima pale alipata hata kama ni 1% alikuwa nayo, na ni lazima aende afike pale awajulishe yeye ni president wa Kenya na awahudumie kama wa Kenya.
Naona Ruto kutembea kwake Nyanza ni uzalendo. Sababu sasa yeye wakati ameshakuwa president, hajakuwa president wa wenye walimpigia kura ama wenye, yani tuseme kama Nyanza tuseme kama alipata 1% ama 2%. Lakini bisha saizi kabisa yeye ni president wa Nyanza na wa wenye walimpea 100%. So lazima kuwe na usawa kwa wote, kwa wenye walimpea na wenye wakumpea. Kwa hivyo kutembea kwake Nyanza ilikuwa vizuri, sababu anaonyeshana yeye ni president wa nchi nzima. Kwa hivyo anatuonyesha mfano mwema. Sasa atafanyia wenye walimpea na wenye hawakumpea. Sasa tunapaswa kujifunza aje? Tukue watu balance. Tusikue ati uko na ubaguzi. Ati juu sasa kama mimi tuseme, wacha niongelee mwanasiasa. Tuseme kama mwanasiasa haswa asikue ati sasa juu sasa upande hii, hata kama ni MCA, hata kama ni nani. Iki kitengo walinipea kura na hawa hawakunipea. Kwa hivyo huku ndio ndaleta maendeleo zaidi, huku sitaleta. Wacha tukue na usawa, hata kama ni kwa familia, hata kama ni kwa nini. Usibague huyu ama huyu. Kama ni kazi ufanyie watu wote.
Sasa wanasiasa wengine, hata saa zingine sisi wa Kenya kile tunaweza sema tuzajifundisha sana ni kukuwa na umoja, kwa sababu na upendo, kwa sababu naona hawa wanasiasa wanakuja tu kwa media, wanarumbana wenyewe, wanazozana wenyewe kwa wenyewe, lakini wakikutana huko kwa mikutano yao, they are friends. They are very good friends. Wakikuja kwa media ni wanaleta hizi mambo ya siasa, lakini wakikutana huko kando, they are very good friends. Sasa tutakani kuwaiga, sio tutakani kukaa kama wa Kenya kama kitu moja, kuliko tuwe tunazozana hivi. Mimi ndio kitu moja naona watu tunaweza jifundisha na hiyo jambo. Si unaona alienda huko na wanasiasa vile hata mbeleni walikuwa wakifanya siasa wanatukanana, lakini wakikutana wanakunywa chai mahali pamoja, wanakula mahali pamoja behind the cameras. Lakini wakikuja kwa media ndio wanaleta nini? Wanaenda hizo stories zingine. Sasa si wa Kenya tunasema hawa wanachukiana, sipendi usipendi, lakini wakikutana huko hata kama ametoka tribe hii ama hii, they are friends.
Hayo ni baadhi ya maoni ya Wakenya kuhusiana na ziara ya Ruto katika eneo la Nyanza. Wengi wakisema kwamba ni ziara ambayo inaweza ni ya kuunganisha Wakenya pamoja, wakiwasihi pia viongozi wengine kuiga mfano wa Rais William Ruto na kutekeleza miradi ya maendeleo katika maeneo ambayo waliweza kuchaguliwa, kwa watu ambao waliweza kuwachagua na wale ambao hawakuweza kuwachagua. Kutoka hapa mimi ni Vincent Kimutai.
So very much, my colleague Vincent Kimutai in Nyanza region. Thank you for that correspondence and for the sentiments and views from people from Nyanza. And before we wind up this topic, I hope you have heard what I have said regarding the president's visit in their region. Sure. What is your combination?
Thank you. I think there is a great lesson to learn. And the Nyanza people should know, and other regions, that there is no enmity in leaders in this country. They only come up with campaign strategy that tend maybe to divide this country, but themselves, they are not enemies. Let nobody think that, and especially now that Honorable Raila was actually running for the highest seat in the country and he lost, that they are enemies with the president. No. And as voters and as people of Kenya, we should rise above campaign strategies that are used by the politicians in this country. We should know that God gave us this beautiful country. We are the residents of this country, and we should love one another. We are brothers and sisters. Let us not allow those leaders with selfish mind to divide us. And we need to learn this from the president.
All right.
And other leaders, I would call them to learn from the top leadership of this country that we are having this time. Somebody who is ready to serve all, and he knows that. He is the father of this country, and we are his children as residents of this country. And as a good parent, you should not separate your children, kwa sababu hakuna mtoto wa mugongo na mwingine wa tumbo.
Asante.
Yeah, I think I'll just echo the sentiments of what has been said here, in that people have realized that politics is politics, and it only we don't need to bring the differences the politicians have on the ground. So the people are tired, and people just want one thing. They want to see development. They want to see the economy being increased, because we just came back from COVID, where the economy was actually down. Right now, the exchange rate between the Kenya shilling and the dollar is at its lowest point. So that one tells you that people are actually experiencing hardship, especially in the business community and even in other sectors. And when you look at even the economy right now, the prices of fuel have increased, the prices of sugar is at its highest, so the prices of electricity, everything is at its highest level. And unemployment rate is at its highest level also. So what we are saying is that Kenyans are looking into how best they can be able to secure their future, as opposed to securing the future of the politicians. But also at the same time, we are saying that the politicians need to play their role, because they were all elected with the sole mandate of ensuring that the common mwananchi gets a safe avenue to uplift their business, to increase their income, and that's all we need from them, just to increase, to make sure the environment is safe, no insecurity, make sure the licenses, the fees are low, make every process to be streamlined and simple, and that's all they need. So in simple is that people are now looking into developmental matters, and politics set aside.
And one of them has really talked about, if we trickle down to the issue of Nyanza, to our regions in the country, has really talked about the leaders, the MCAs, the members of parliament, the governors. And also we know in this country there is that also culture. A governor can create a culture. An MCA can create a culture. Even an MP can create a culture whereby if people from this village didn't vote for me or this ward, then I'm going to teach them a lesson, right? As much as the president is trying to create that culture of oneness after election, I also feel that our leaders may not sometimes embrace it, which is far much dangerous. How do we handle that?
Paul, there are very clear writings on the wall that for leaders who want to go far, they have to change that outdated mentality of trying to fragment this country into small ethnic groups. Because for sure we have seen that the tribalism in this country has been pelted by leaders who don't see far. They take advantage of their small areas that they are representing, and they kind of inculcate a culture of backwardness, of tribalism, which in fact the last election proved that it is being buried and to be forgotten completely. So it is very clear to those leaders who think they will not rise above their small regions politics. Their days are numbered because the electorate is getting educated and enlightened, and the politics is taking a new shape in this country.
Right, correct. Koimbori, what's your
take? My take on the same is, I think we're on the same page here, in that people just want to see development. That's it. We want to see development. We want to see leaders fulfilling their pledges. Everybody who was elected in Kenya gave their own pledges, and they're going to be held accountable. The only thing I'm seeing is blame game. Let's not blame each other.
Yes, I'm being told we want to take a short break right now. We will be right back after this Mid-Morning Park.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Do you desire to attain your divine destiny and serve God's purpose for your life? You can do so by your daily devotionals using inspired materials that has been written prayerfully for the benefit of the body of Christ. Apostle John Kimani William has published the 2023 edition of Nuggets of Destiny. In it, you will find an anchor scripture to guide your path as you spend time with God, a brief sermonette to inspire, teach, encourage, counsel, and rebuke you, suggestion for further reading in line with the message of each day, a prayer bullet to help you pray in the perfect will of God, and a one-year Bible reading plan to guide you through the Bible in 2023. Get your copy today at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship Gift Shop and at Heaven's Gate Prayer Mountain Gift Shop. You can also call 0722 344 360 to place your order today. If you are in Nairobi and its environs, place your order through 0799 573 310. God bless you.
Mtu akikwambia yeye ni half sister, huwa amemaanisha yeye ni nani?
Half sister. Ako nusu sister.
Who is a half sister?
Wangu. Zainabu.
Chamkufu mwanafu?
Hulafu mwanahu. Chamkufu, hulafu mwanafu, humfumfu. Chamkufu. Chamkufu, mwanafu, hulafu, nafuhu. Waniua.
Prishrank silk shirts.
Prikshan lixias.
Get out.
Prankshal silk.
Radiance Academy is a primary and nursery school situated in Nakuru County along the Nakuru-Nairobi Highway 500 meters from Free Area. Our primary section did extremely well, with many students scoring over the 400 mark in KCPE. And now, introducing the junior secondary school and girls high school boarding from Form 1. Our teachers are professionally trained to embrace, educate on the CBC curriculum. Our school is greatly prepared for the junior secondary school. We have spacious classrooms, dormitories, huge field for games and sports, all ready for junior secondary school. We build your child's future on tradition of academic excellence and leadership. We are focused on social, emotional development, literacy, and numeracy. Our students walk out with character to make their mark in the world, equipped with the knowledge and real-world skills that take them way ahead in different sectors that they may serve. Enroll your child today for junior secondary school and girls high school boarding from Form 1. For more information, call us on 0707 071 007 or 0784 438164 or email us at radianceacademy@yahoo.com. Radiance Academy, the center of excellence.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back to the Mid-Morning Pack on MBCI TV. We are having Peter Kibunja, who is a political analyst, and also Dr. Kinyanjui Koimbori, who is an educationist and also environmentalist. Today we are talking about the issue of President visiting Nyanza before we chip into the issue of the IEBC. Before we went for the break, you were giving your sentiments.
Yeah, I was just winding up by saying that we need to see all the elected leaders actually fulfilling their pledges. Most of them, they had pledges which were to be fulfilled within 100 days. So we want to see all those pledges being fulfilled and let them stop the blame game where they are saying that this county or this government or this something, I took it over from somebody who had destroyed it, so give me time to develop it. No, when you're giving the pledges, fulfill them, because they usually say that your word is your bond. So whenever you commit yourself, because we elected you out of those manifestos you came up with, please fulfill them, because we are going to judge you as per those manifestos.
Correct. And we are about now to go to the next issue about the IEBC. We know that all the commissioners, led by the chairman, have exited the dais. Now we don't have commissioners for the IEBC, as we are waiting for the verdict of the tribunal, which is interrogating the other 4 commissioners. But as we're speaking right now, yesterday, Mr. Chepukati and the other 2 commissioners gave their exit report, and they gave it to the president. But we want to focus on the reforms that they proposed in the IEBC. But before we go there, I don't know, how would you give the scorecard for the IEBC, let's say in the last, Chebukati's term for the last 7 years, I think. So he has been there in the last election and the last elections but one. How would you give the scorecard for IEBC? Has it transformed? Is it the same IEBC for all that time? Mr. Kibunja, how would you rate the IEBC so far as a commission?
Thank you.
Yes.
Personally, I would say that I would appreciate those people. They have tried, because under their tenure, we have not had skirmishes in this country.
Yes.
I would like to tell our viewers that IEBC is a body that is very sensitive in this country. It is a body that can set this country into burning anytime. One, it's a body that endorses leaders in this country. And whenever an election comes, it has actually to have people being very aggressive. A lot of money changes hands in this country because everybody wants to be a leader and to harvest the fruits of being a leader in this country. And that is why you find that this body, actually the commissioners, the life of the commissioners normally is on a very thin line. Because if you don't really stand on your own and you offer yourself for this country, you can easily be swayed from side to side. You can be tempted to be greased, your hands to be greased. You may be tempted, actually, to endorse the wrong people in the leadership, just because, you know, you are seen and, of course, your hands were greased. And possibly, if you are there for money, you can get that money. But if you don't get time to think more about the future of this country, you might mess up the whole thing. Actually, this is a body that can destroy Kenya, that has taken us many years, that is dependent, that it is depended by many. So I would say, and I will remove my hand for that commission, for the tenure they have been in office, in the course of their tenure, they have done their best. Because in the course of their tenure, we have not had a lot of disagreement and skirmishes in this country.
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Koimbori.
Yes, I'll grade them differently. In terms of communication, I'll give them a strong A, because they were able to give us day-to-day happenings, how things are happening. So in terms of communication, them communicating with us, which is very important, and also streamlining and streaming the live coverage of tallied votes on their website. You can be able to get it
I'll give them an A. And then in terms of maybe the structural mechanisms in terms of procurement and the rest, that one I'll give them maybe a D, because I believe they failed in one or the other. In terms of, we had issues of procurement, where we had issues of some of the papers which came in that were not required, they were in excess. We had issues, there were so many issues in terms of the procurement and also the channel they use for procurement. Was it direct sourcing? Was it open sourcing? That is an issue. And then lastly, also the issue of cohesiveness in terms of the members. Remember this commission before before we reached where we are right now. Earlier on, we had the likes of Dr. Rosalie Nakombe and the rest also resigning. Also now we had the same issue. So we need to ask ourselves, why are these people resigning? In fact, Dr. Rosalie Nakombe had to even move abroad where people were being threatened within his immediate family. So what you're saying is that in terms of ensuring that we have that cohesiveness within the members is lacking. And last but not least, also, they failed also in ensuring that the workers or themselves give protection to the IEBC members. Because I feel they were not protected enough, and that's why we lost a few, and maybe others felt threatened. We can't point fingers to who caused it, but what we are saying is that there's a lot of reforms that needs to be done at IEBC ahead of 2027, and we are hopeful. We are hopeful for the best. And there's one issue which is becoming very hot here, the issue of appointing or selecting the commissioners. As we are aware, we don't have any commissioner in the team, and after the parliament changed laws to be able to constitute a team which is going to give us the names of the commissioners, it is becoming a hot issue because some politicians, especially from the opposition, feels that when the president advocating for the parliament to create a panel to create these commissioners, it has a hidden agenda, is not of good faith. And the opposition feels these commissioners need to be appointed or selected by a political class. I don't know your take on that, but do you feel it should be the mandate of the politicians or political parties to give us the proposals of the names, or do you think Parliament has the full mandate, is reliable to give us the commissioners?
Well, Paul, we should desist from politicizing IEBC. It will be very dangerous in this country, and the sensitivity of this commission should be known to all. If we try to politicize it, then it is going to spark a lot of reaction, or rather, it will spark fire in this country. So I would suggest that we really need to elect this commission with a lot of soberness in mind, looking at the future of this country. So I would feel, let the parliament be left to vet, but the presidency should also be there with the soberness of mind to ensure that we have gotten the right people in the commission. One, we really need to look at people, not those who need, or rather who are good politicians to be appointed. No, we really need to get people who are informed. Two, God-fearing people, people who are humble, and people who have this country at heart. Because the IEBC Commission, we have seen, as my colleague has said, we have seen people losing their lives just because they felt they are not going to compromise. And somebody somewhere feels so and so is an obstacle in my path of rising to the top. Therefore, I should eliminate him also. So I feel the government of the day should ensure total security to those commissioners, and that is why I said earlier, we should have people who are ready to offer themselves for this country. And I repeat again, people who are ready to offer themselves to this country. Today, let me tell you, there are people who may be appointed, or they may be approached for appointment in the IEBC Commission. And citing what has been happening, they will say, my life might end up being short if I'm elected in this commission. And therefore they may say, as much as I have the capability of being a commissioner, let me enjoy my life in full. So I think the government should also do a lot to reassure the commissioners and give them total security. But for once, we need to desist from politicizing IEBC. It is the heart of this country.
Very well, Mr. Kibunja. Daktari.
So, yeah, on the same is that I think I will not add much on the same, but just to support the statement that IBC independent, it is independent with the sole purpose of ensuring that they are free from any external interference. So what we are seeing is that as much as they have put forth some few suggestions that we need to have politicians with the commissions, we need to have this. And also remember that we are going to have a long dry spell without these commissioners, because the president cannot come up with these commissioners before the ongoing tribunal case of the Cherera 4, of which Masiti is still pleading a case, to actually end. And after that, and then it will take a long stay. But what you're saying is that we need to see people who are sober-minded, people who don't have any track record of either corruption, any ethic skirmish among them. They should not have any blemish of corruption or any ethic downgrade on themselves. Because in this docket, we need people who are sober, people who cannot be able to be corrupted. And I'm yet to see the people they'll be able to come up with. And hopefully they need, I know they're going to put it open for people to apply, and then obviously they do a shortlisting and the same, but we need to see sober people. But if I was to be asked, let us not have politicians within that commission. Yeah. Politicians are the worst because they are known to lie with one tongue and then give promises on the other. So we cannot believe in politicians. They usually go with the mood of the people.
And if you look at the history of our IEBC, which I think you concur with me, is that every election year, we have some reforms that are being done. If you look from the days of when the IEBC was being selected by the president during Moi's era, then came the issues of the IPPG, we agree on the commission. We have come from very far in terms of reforming our IEBC commission, and I think we still have a long way to go. Yeah. One of the ways that has helped our IEBC to reform is the Supreme Court, whereby the politicians have taken case in the Supreme regarding to challenging the presidential elections, and the Supreme Court proposes some changes in our IEBC, which I think has really helped us so very much. But before then, right now, yesterday's report by the Commission, they made several recommendations in terms of reforms, which I'm going to mention a few, then you are going to give your comments. Number one, they have really proposed some changes which should take place, almost all of them, 2 years before the election. One of them is that the Commission must appoint its members 2 years before the election. You know, for this commission, some of the commissioners were, I think they were appointed few months before election. Yeah, I think it was very dangerous. Also, they want the appointment of commissioners, as I have said, 2 years before election, review of election laws 2 years before elections, which must be done by the parliament, with the proposal made by the IEBC, deployment of technology 2 years before. I don't know whether maybe your observation regarding the technology, was it well done, or there were some reservations?
Oh, yeah. Paul, I think I would go with those recommendations. One thing, you should not be ignorant. These are the people who've been in it, and they know what that means.
Yeah.
When these things are done just before elections, they may have different motives. And possibly, this is what we cited in the commission, and that is why there was some discords, you know, because those who've come very late, you may not know the motive of those who have come. So we really need to see them before, 2 years before, so that we can get some time to learn them.
Yes.
We can know the motive, we can see the commitment, the degree of commitment.
And also for them to learn
yes,
how the commission operates.
Of course, and also to learn, for them to learn how to work together, to cohabit. You see? Because if they don't coexist, they don't work together, they don't speak from the same, you know, they don't read the same, you know, book, or rather, they are not of the same mind, definitely we shall see that what we experienced
Yes.
in the last election.
And Daktari, one of the recommendations is drawing my attention is they are proposing the integration of the voter education in our school curriculum. How is that?
Yeah, I think it is important for them, for the Kenyan population, especially starting with the young people, to be educated on the essence of voting, because you realize that when you look at the statistics of just the previous concluded elections, we had 22 registered voters, 22 million registered voters. And then out of the 22 million registered voters, we had around 14 million who voted, 15. So you take that difference, you'll find that around 7 million did not vote. If 7 million did not vote, that one tells you that there is voter apathy, there is lack of sensitization, there is lack of understanding that once you vote, voting is your sole mandate. Voting is your right. Voting depicts your patriotism to this country. So voter education, especially if you inculcate education of voting aspect in the curriculum, then people will be sensitized on the purpose of voting. Why do you need to vote? And if you don't vote, what will happen to you? Then, so that people stop complaining of having bad leaders, because bad leaders are usually elected by people who don't vote. So when you don't vote, that's where now you put a bad leader in that position. Remember, we had 7 million people who did not vote. Just imagine if the 7 million people voted, then it means even all these leaders you're seeing right now, maybe some of them will not be having them.
Yes.
So yes, I believe this is it is timely, and it is actually late. It should have been actually inculcated in the curriculum earlier before.
Yes, and one of the challenges with IEBC was to provide voter education before election. They had a huge challenge because of finances. But another interesting reform for the IEBC they have proposed is regarding the bombers. You know, whenever we see bombers of Kenya during announcement of presidential elections, sort of bring some tension, some push and pull. They have proposed they have their own headquarter, which I believe they want to use it maybe to announce elections. You remember the times of Kivuitu, how it happened?
Yeah.
So they are proposing to have their own headquarters.
Sure, Paul. During elections time, when bombers is mentioned, I would say that it is a ghost that haunts this country. And we don't want this kind of ghost to be haunting the electorate during elections time. I think we really need to change, because actually what happens in bombers, it lives in the memories of many people even long time after the elections. And not good memories. Actually, they are bad memories. So I would say, let that recommendation be considered, and we move ahead as we are preparing for the future of this country.
Correct. And dear viewer, as you are watching us, Mid-Morning Park, and today we are having Mr. Peter Kibuncha and Dr. Kinyanjui Koimbori. We are talking about various issues, and we are about to go to the issue of academics. But before we get there, I want to give you a chance to be able to give your comment, or also to ask questions to my guest here. Are you satisfied with preparation for the commencement of junior secondary education? Are you satisfied with preparation for the commencement of junior secondary education? You can get us live here. SMS number 23814 and our WhatsApp number 0721105105. You can also talk to your friend. We are live on our FB account, MBCI TV. Our YouTube account, we are live, MBCI TV Official. And we have two issues at hand right now. Number one is Form 1 placement, which was done few days ago by the Ministry of Education. And we have the announcement of the results by the grade 6 exams, KPSEA, which was done yesterday in a quiet manner. And before we go to the grade 6 exams released yesterday, let's talk about Form 1 placement. And I believe maybe you have a brother, a sister, a cousin who is heading to Form 1. And later on, I'll be joined by my colleague, Vincent Kimutai. We'll be talking to some people on the ground regarding the Form 1 placement and even junior secondary school. But, gentlemen, I think you have been following this matter. The Form 1 placement, Mr. Kibunja, I know this issue is at your heart regarding the placement of Form 1. I know that you also have a school that you manage. How did it go? Because last time when you were here, one of the things I can recall very well, you were really worried about you were calling it cut marks.
Yes.
Did it happen?
Cut-off marks.
Oh, cut-off marks. Did it happen?
Thank you, Paul. Actually, I'm the director of the Eagle Apex group of schools. And it's a primary day and boarding school that is among the front line in offering education in this country. And as you have said last time, I told you that there were a lot of goosebumps just before the release of the exam. And we talked briefly about the placement. But can I tell you, Paul, my fear has been confirmed.
You mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because let truth be told, there is a problem when it comes to placement in this country. And something needs to be done. Because as leaders in the education sector, and especially the people who are in charge in the placement, they have to know that we have one goal, which is to promote national integration in this country.
Yes.
We should not have segregation at any one time. And two, we need a lot of soberness because we usually have a time when these pupils select schools in different categories, national, extra-county, county schools and such, which is an exercise that comes before the examination. And it needs to be respected. Otherwise, there is no need of engaging our pupils and the parents in this exercise if it is not going to be followed. The current placement has actually stirred a lot of reaction. We feel that something is wrong somewhere and it needs to be addressed.
Was it done wrongly?
Yes. You can imagine a pupil being admitted in a school he never selected. That is one. Two, you find somebody in Eldoret being placed in a school in Mombasa, which is a day school. And to make the matter worse, you find a girl being admitted in a boys' school. So what is this telling us, Paul? That there is no seriousness in this exercise.
As you continue, the CS for Education, Mr. Machogu, said that the reason why it is happening is because the parents themselves and the teachers are not advising the pupils correctly.
I would say no, and I would beg to differ. Because you cannot have your child admitted in a school you have never had. Actually, after the placement was done, we have kept receiving calls from desperate parents because they don't even know, they have never heard about such a school. And a school is somewhere, maybe in Mara, inside, and a parent is in Narok. You
But
see?
if it's a boarding, is that okay?
Okay.
If you come from this county to the other county,
But
is that
my
okay?
question is, you know there is always fear of the unknown. As a parent, if you just get to know that your child has been admitted in an interior school in Marra, whether it is a good school or a bad school, the first reaction to the parent is, it is not a good school. You see? And now, we are being asked, how did my child get placed in that school and yet I did not select such a school for my child? Then you are left dumbfounded, you don't know what to say. So I think we should respect the set protocols. There is no need of selecting the schools if these children will not be given a chance to learn in those schools. Yes. Otherwise, if then the selection will be done haphazardly in that manner, then there's no need of telling parents just come to school and try to choose the schools where you would want your child to learn.
Yes, we'll be hearing from Dr. Koimbori, but later on, I want us to give us a brief on how the selection is being done, right from the school. How does the people select the school? that you are saying that it is wrong for them to select this school and not to get the school, because we have the county, we have the sub-county and the whatever. Eh?
Sure.
How do you categorize that selection? Give us later on. But Koimbori, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I think my take on this is that since the change of the educational curriculum from 844 to what we have right now, parents have not been sensitized enough. They have not been educated much on how it's supposed to go, especially the transition from class 6 to grade 6 to grade 7. It has been a huge problem for parents. They don't understand how it's going. Just remember, even the KIPSEA results for this grade 6 were released, and the people are not, they were not even also informed very well how to access it. It's the schools who are supposed to go and get the marks, and then you go to the school to get the results. So you see all that, and then they are saying also these marks, they will not be used for placement to grade 7. And remember, earlier on, the students were subjected to these kind of exams, especially the grade 6 students who are not familiar with exam scenarios where they are supposed to be timed. It was actually a mental torture to most of them, because it was strict, it was timed. Most of them, they are not used to that. That's why you see we usually wait until grade 8 for people to do exams, but grade 6, it was torture to them. And to make the matters worse now, they have said it won't be used for placement. So what I'm saying is that moving forward, I think the educational minister needs to work with all stakeholders, talking about the parents, the students, everybody, so they understand how can we be able to do this activity with ownership. Because once you don't give ownership to people, people will not own it. So this one tells you that they did it in silos. They imposed laws to the people, and then now people are rejecting it. So once you work with people, it will come out positively.
And I think the Ministry of Education, or NEC in that matter, they should come up with a very solid system whereby if a student is requesting to be posted in a certain school, it just goes like that, you know, because our country has a good technology. Sure. We have some experts in technology who can help the ministry. Maybe ministry should come out from the analog system and go to the more digital system in managing its ministry affairs. Right. Now, placing of students, the selection of the schools, briefly, how is it done?
Early in the year, schools are asked to organize how the pupils will select their schools in different categories.
Yes.
The first category is the national schools. And you see, a child is supposed to choose the first school he would want to go, the first national school, the first choice and the second choice. And this is normally supposed to be considered. If the child will meet the cutoff mark for that school, then that child should be admitted in that school.
Yes.
In the case a pupil doesn't get a mark that would help to place him in a national school, then we have extra county schools.
Correct.
That is the second choice. After that, we have the county schools. A number of schools are selected in the order of priority. And finally, we have sub-county schools.
Yes.
You see? So these people, under the advice of the teachers and the parents, we normally come together because the pupil may not know many schools. The school is supposed to provide the list of the national schools, the list of the extra-county schools, the county schools, and the sub-county schools, which for sub-county schools are meant to be day schools. Then,
most of the sub-county schools are day schools.
Yes,
okay.
These are the local schools. Yeah. If a child may miss in all the other schools, then he's supposed to get the day schools within his or her area.
Yeah.
And normally, this is a very, very important exercise. It brings the parent, the pupil, and the school or the teacher together. Then, after that, this list is supposed to be passed over to the Ministry of Education. You see? And these parents usually go home satisfied that if my child will not get a place in this school, he will definitely or she will definitely get a place in this school. And if not that one, the other one. So it is really disturbing.
Before we continue, is it done manually or in a digital system?
Well, it is done manually from the schools,
yes.
But as it is presented to the sub-county offices, of course they put that in the computer, digital system, as it is passed over to Minister of Education. But at the same time, there is a backup of the manual forms that have been filled that also are submitted to the Minister of Education headquarters. Yes.
Correct. And if you have a question, you can ask us through 23814. And I hope my director, we need to hear from our reporter, Vincent Kimutai. Yes. Yes, Vincent Kimutai on the ground talking about the issue of academics, the placement, and the grade 6. Vincent Kimutai, if you are getting me, how are you? Talk to us.
Shukran sana Paul Kagi, ukiwa upande wa pili wa studio. Kwa mara nyingine tena tuko hapa tukiweza kuchukua maoni ya wazazi kuhusiana na masuala ya elimu, hasa sana tukiangazia masuala ya kuhusiana na CBC grade junior secondary pamoja na matokeo ya mashule ambayo ya sekondari ambayo yaliweza kutangazwa siku ya Jumatatu na waziri wa elimu Ezekiel Mashogu. Na siku ya Jumatatu tuliona kwamba waziri wa elimu Ezekiel Mashungu aliweza kutangaza shule mbalimbali za upili ambazo wanafunzi waliofanya mtihani wa KCP wataweza kujiunga nazo kuanzia tarehe 6 na tarehe 13 mwezi ujao wa Februari. Vile vile pia waziri Mashogu pia aliweza kutangaza matokeo ya grade ya 6 kwa wanafunzi ambao watakuwa wanajiunga na junior secondary kuanzia tarehe 30 mwezi huu wa Januari. Lakini licha hata baada ya waziri wa elimu kutangaza haya matokeo ya wanafunzi watakaojiunga na shule za upili ya shule mbalimbali, wazazi waliweza kulalama. Je, tunataka kufahamu maoni ya wazazi kuhusiana na mchakato uliofanyika siku matokeo yake yalitolewa siku ya Jumatatu. Vile vile pia tungependa kujua maoni ya wakazi kuhusiana na maandalizi ya Wizara ya Elimu kuhusiana na masomo ya grade junior secondary school. Na hapa hivi utaweza kuanza kwa kuzungumza na wakazi kuhusiana na ile matangazo yaliyotolewa siku ya Jumatatu kuhusiana na shule mbalimbali za upili ambazo wanafunzi waliofanya mtihani wa KCP wataweza kujiunga nazo.
Kwa majina naitwa Esther Nganga. Walimu ndio wanaamuaga juu sasa hata mtoto akichagua inakuwa tu kasi ya bure. Sasa kama rafiki yangu aliniambia ati wake aliitwa Naroko. Na sasa hiyo ameitwa Naroko day school. Imagine mtoto anaweza toka huko aende day Naroko. Sasa hiyo ni challenges kubwa sana.
Nadhani bidii ya wanafunzi itakuwa poa ikiweza kuamua. Pia wazazi pia wapewa nafasi. Mtoto anaweza jiamulia na pia mzazi akose hiyo nguvu. Si apewe nafasi pia kujichagulia shule anataka pia.
Nafikiri kwa majina naitwa Peter Nyamondo. Mimi ni mkazi wa Nakuru. Na sasa serikali iko na mpangilio na inaendelea tu vizuri. Na wanaendelea tu kuweka tu mikakati ili waweze kuweka watoto wa CBC waingie kwa junior secondary school.
So unafikiri ni changamoto zipi ambazo zinakumba CBC?
Changamoto zenye ziko ni ile tu kuchanganya sasa uniform na nini, hapo wazazi ndio wanakuwa na shida kubwa sana.
Kwa majina naitwa Jackson Karanja. Mimi ni mkazi wa Nakuru. Katika soko ya Nasha Market. Mimi kwa maoni yangu nasema hivi. Sisi hatuna shida na CBC. Lakini kulingana na vile mashule yenye tunasomeshia watoto yetu, hizo vifaa zenye zinafaa kukua huko hatujaziona. Kwa hivyo tunasema serikali ilete hizo vifaa kwanza, alafu ndio CBC kuja. Hatuna shida na CBC, lakini vifaa saizi hakuna. Hiyo ndio ombi yangu ningesema. Lakini saizi CBC sioni kifaulu sana kwa mashule zingine. Sisi hatuna shida na kwenye mwanafunzi ataitwa, bora security ikue. Shida inakujia hivi. Kwa mfano, mtoto wako ameitwa mahali fulani na security iko chini pande hiyo. Hapo ndio wazazi unaona wanakataa watoto waende pande hizo. Lakini serikali ikiimarisha mambo ya security na kila kitu, sioni ikiwa na shida.
Mimi upande wangu mimi venye ningependa kusema ama nikiwa mzazi venye ninaona ninafinyika,
Sisi wakati wetu zile vitabu tulikuwa waliokuwa mbele yetu walikuwa kisoma nazo, ndizo turudi kusoma nazo. So upande wa vitabu, by the way, tunafinyika ile kabisa. Juu sasa kama niko na mtoto ako grade 1, haya mwenye ako nyuma yake hawezi akasoma nayo. So upande wa vitabu wanapaswa waangalie sana.
Hayo tu ni baadhi ya maoni ya wazazi kuhusiana na elimu ya CBC, junior secondary, pamoja na ile mchakato wa wanafunzi kujiunga na kidato cha kwanza. Wengi wakisema ya kwamba serikali imejiandaa, wengine wakisema ya kwamba serikali bado haijajiandaa. Lakini kwa ujumla tunachosubiri ni ile mchakato unaoendelea katika shule mbalimbali, ambapo maafisa wa elimu wanazuru sasa hivi shule mbalimbali kuhakiki kuona kuwa ina vifaa hitajika, ina madarasa ya kutosha, pamoja na vifaa vingine ambavyo vinahitajika. Na mchakato huu unakamilika siku ya Ijumaa, ambapo tutakuwa tukisubiri ripoti ya Wizara ya Elimu kuhusiana ikiwa shule hizo zimeweza kujiandaa kikamilifu kuwapokea wanafunzi wa grade ya 7. Kutoka hapa mimi ni Vincent Kimutai.
Much Vincent Kimutai for that good job. And viewers, if you want to give a comment, 23814 is our SMS number. And gentlemen, I think you have heard what has been going on the ground regarding the placement and the junior secondary school. Would you agree with what they are saying?
Paul, this is very true. There should be urgent address by the Minister of Education concerning the CBC. One, it is very clear, is a system that was introduced hurriedly. And citing and knowing very well the sensitivity of education in a country, because this is actually the backbone of a country. Something urgent needs to be done in the Ministry of Education. In the recent past, we would say that the Ministry of Education has not actually been in good books with the parents.
Okay.
And it is the ministry that is supposed to have the best brains in the country. We know it is capable. My appeal is, can they have crisis meetings to address this dissatisfaction of the CBC? Because there is confusion. The moment they say that CBC is going to be domiciled in secondary education, section, and plans starts and kick off at a high gear of construction of classes to accommodate the CBC, that is grade 7, or the junior secondary, in secondary schools. And at the 11th hour, again, rules are changed when the game is on. You see, you are prepared to score here in this goal, only to realize that the goalpost, you've tried to play, but the goalpost has been shifted when the game is on. This is not right, because immediately or at the 11th hour, we were told that junior secondary will be domiciled in primary section.
Yeah.
That is showing some unpreparedness in the Ministry of Education. Yes.
Now that we have the junior secondary in the domicile in the primary school, you'll be telling us now what the challenges you are experiencing there in the implementation of the junior secondary school. But Dr. Koimburi, yeah.
So I think CBC, the intention coming up CBC was good, because that's for system.
Yeah.
And having done the 844 system, on my part, it was there are so many lessons which we were doing, but when you look at when we transitioned to secondary and then university, we did not actually apply all of that. But now with CBC,
I'm being told that you are not. Your mic is as a challenge. Wait a minute. We come back to Mr. Kibunja before they rectify on the microphone regarding the issue of the junior secondary.
Yeah.
I know that you are implementing. What is the main challenge over that?
The main challenge in many schools are the facilities.
Yes.
And as it is evident to everybody that the idea is good, but it has been rushed.
Yes.
Because we need to put the right facilities in place to ensure that there will be smooth transition. And actually, like you see, junior secondary, it has its own requirements. Up to now, schools have not, especially public schools, they have not received the materials.
The public schools?
Yeah, the public schools and also the private, because we need to have these materials in the bookshops and in other outlet shops.
Yeah.
So you find that we are rushing, you know, to acquire these things so that they can be there before we start off.
And what are they, these major requirements?
Like laboratory is an issue.
Yes, and it must be there.
It should be there because, you know, the type of the curriculum they are supposed to follow, they need a laboratory.
Yeah.
So you can imagine we are rushing to equip these laboratories at the 11th hour. But what are we supposed to rush? With the proper
Is the
planning?
syllabus available?
Yeah, the syllabus is available. The subjects have actually been well stipulated.
Yeah.
But you see, we really need to have the materials that will facilitate that curriculum. And that psychological preparedness, even for the teachers, is very important. Because now that it was shifted to the primary, and you see, the teachers who are being prepared, the workshops that were organized to handle CBC was in the secondary section.
Yeah.
So now, there must be some crisis workshops organized in the primary section to prepare the teachers so that they can handle grade 7.
Yes. What about the issue of teachers? Who are the teachers to manage the junior secondary, from the primary or from the secondary?
Well, according to the advice we are getting from the ministry, of course, whatever they have said, okay, teachers will be employed to handle grade 7. But at the same time, you look at the psychology of these children, you know, their psychology and their mental capability, they are still in the primary section. So we must incorporate the two.
Okay.
The teachers in the primary, with we have them, even those with the diplomas and degrees in the primary. But at the same time, we have to employ extra workforce whom we are going to incorporate. But there is no way we can draw a line and say that the primary teachers who've been handling primary section will not handle grade 7.
Okay. Yeah. I hope now you are set.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, I think everything is okay. Maybe in regard to that point is that, maybe to reiterate the last point is they have put some qualifications that you need for you to actually teach 7, 8 and 9, grade 7, 8 and 9. And one of the things they have put forth is you must have a diploma, minimum qualification is a diploma and then a degree. A diploma and a degree, and also you must have done CBC, the competency-based curriculum kind of education, because there are now people being taught on that. Because now people are handling on that, they need people who are qualified in that area. Also the same as you have said, we have people who are in primary sections who actually have degrees and diplomas. So them, what most schools I'm seeing they are doing is they are using these teachers to, they are going to give them classes in junior school and in primary section. So those only who qualify, those who qualify to move to the upper section, junior school and primary. But also the same, as I was saying, is that CBC is a good idea.
Yes.
But put it in comparison with 844 and then unemployment rate that we had in Kenya. Most people were actually being trained, or us, we were being trained for the white collar jobs.
Yes.
CBC is going to prepare people for the blue collar jobs, where people, where there's a huge demand for labor. But in the white collar jobs, we have too many skilled people and there is no vacancy. So CBC is preparing people for the blue collar jobs so that when they go out there, they have skills either in tailoring, you have skills in cooking, you have skills in all these things. And then when you transition, you only go and pursue what you are good at. So this one saves the challenge of students doing so many subjects and then determining by yourself which one am I good at. So I think it has a good idea, but it needs to be streamlined as we move on.
Okay, and I want to slip away a little bit from the junior secondary and talk about what you are talking about, the skill-based maybe courses, because I think there should be the integration between the CBC in the lower level, the junior secondary, what they are being taught, because I saw some of the subjects, mathematics, English, Kiswahili, and Kenyan language. I don't know which is a Kenyan language. And then we have integrated science, creative arts and social studies, and religious education. And yesterday there were some jobs that were posted in the government's portal in technical institutions, and I was asking myself, are we not expecting again a flood of young people who have done technical skills, then they flood in the market? Is there any danger again in the near future?
Well, Paul, the idea behind the CBC will actually try to solve that joblessness that we are having today. So I would concur with my colleague that the idea of the CBC is very good if it is actually given the attention it's supposed to have. Because apart from, you know, these CBC graduates eyeing white-collar jobs, the few slots that are there is the element of self-employment. They will not just look at being employed. Because they will have practical skills, you will find that most of them will be absorbed in the private sector. And what they will do also, they will also employ themselves, and they will be able to put food on the table. So this is the idea behind. Because the moment, like 844, you kind of give them skills, directing them at one point. Of course, you'll feel the heat, because that is actually what was happening. You'll find that there are a lot of graduates that are graduating every year, and they are eyeing the few slots that are there to be employed. But unlike the CBC, which is citing or making somebody or trying to discover their abilities at an early age, and those abilities are nurtured on time, and they are actually taught how to appreciate themselves and to realize that they can put food on the table even apart from being employed. So that is the whole difference. So Paul, there's no fear. If the right attention is given to CBC, it will be the solution to this problem of joblessness in this country.
As you give your sentiment, one of the causes every young people is really moving towards the electrical and the automotive, and few are doing plumbing. So,
as I'm saying is that I think at this moment, and let me tell you this, having sampled the educational system where I was early in Sweden, also in China, and most of the European countries, I've realized that the huge demand of jobs are usually in the blue-collar section. Well, I and my colleagues were in those areas, be it in Europe or Asia, we found that most of the jobs that people are being offered, even in USA, those who go for green cards, most of the jobs are blue-collar jobs. Those are the jobs that pay highly. They're the same jobs that we have here, but they pay highly there. You can be getting as much as even 10,000 shillings per hour, because when you say you're being paid even $1,000 per day, you get $1,000 per day. That's like 10,000. That's like not 10,000. We're talking about 100,000 Kenyan shillings here. It's easily. Those blue-collar jobs, they have a huge demand abroad. So whenever what we are seeing here with CBC, we should not be thinking locally in terms of we are going to train them and they're going to be employed here. There are no jobs right now in Kenya. So the training they're getting is to prepare them for jobs outside. Right now, Canada has put an open policy for people to apply to get citizenship in Canada and to do jobs there, even in US. So once we prepare our students for blue-collar jobs, let's now train them. How are they going out to apply for those jobs abroad, which pay far much better? I know somebody who's even a truck driver in US, and the amount of money they're getting is so much. If you're being paid around even $100 per day, that's like 10,000 shillings. That person in a month is earning, I don't know how much is that. Is it 300,000? 300,000 shillings in 1 month. So I'm saying that all these blue-collar jobs, they are paying, not as much here in Kenya, but abroad. So the CBC we are getting, prepare your students, and then now create avenues for them to travel abroad to do this job. Even in Qatar, even Saudi Arabia, they are there. People have been employed. But the white-collar jobs, they are no longer there. Because Kenya is not creating more jobs. We are actually graduating people. We're increasing the number of universities, the number of secondaries, but we're not creating avenues where people are going to go. Every year, over 6,000 people graduate every year in Kenya. 6,000 every year. So that means that we are not creating even jobs for them. Right now in Kenya, as I'm speaking to you, even having a degree will become a Form 4 certificate.
A master's will become now the degree. The PhD now will become the master's, because degrees are now losing value with time, because most people have degrees and there are no job avenues. Or the only thing it comes down to is corruption. We need to cut down on that, because if you look at the amount of money people are being taken to court for embezzlement, is billions. And if you steal 1 billion, the way it's in China and other Asian countries, stealing money is tantamount to killing. And now you can actually, you're supposed to be sentenced to hanging. Because once you steal 1 billion or 1 shilling, there's somebody, you have taken an opportunity from them. Yeah. So 1 billion Kenya shillings, right now we are seeing people are being taken to court. All this money, if it is put into use, it will create so many industries and people will be employed.
And one of the measures I've seen government doing in terms of establishing a good system for the skill-based curriculum, even in the colleges, is the scrapping of the business courses in the next 3 years, and to bring on board the science and technical course. I think that's a good measure. But I think we have 2 challenges, which I think you can help us to be able to identify if you can be able to solve it. One is that many young people are still yet embracing these skillful courses because they don't want to sweat, they don't want to work hard, you know. How are we going to draw them to come to do these courses, as you are saying, the blue-collar jobs? Because that is where now the country should be headed to.
Yes.
The other one, if you look at the government technical institutions, though it is opening many institutions, but they have a problem with maybe providing the facilities, the equipment for training these young people. How are you going to do it to be able to succeed in this new system?
Paul, it's very clear that it has taken us years for us to come up with a system that we've been using. And any change, even if it's a very good change, it must meet resistance. One, our youths are used to the system that they were introduced in. They just want to sit, follow a program that has been set by somebody else from morning to evening, and then at the end of the month, they are giving money. Because employment simply means you are supposed to be employed. You are told this is what you'll be doing from morning to evening, then you go home. We don't want to think, you see? And we don't expect them to embrace it, you know, to embrace this change that has been brought, that they have now to think, they have to plan for themselves, they have to do things by themselves, you see? So definitely we must know that any change must meet resistance.
Yeah.
So the youths of this country need to be sensitized. The government should come up with the programs that will try to kind of empty this kind of culture of white jobs from these youths, and they are inserted with another mentality that they have to work by themselves. You see?
Yeah.
So it is not easy. And I think our government should set aside and come up with the policies and programs that will tell the youth, thank you very much, you did your part. We know it is not your mistake. You are told that you have to be employed. You learn, in class you are told, soma, upate kazi, upate pesa. Now we are telling them, soma, ufanye kazi, upate pesa, by your own. Employ yourself. How do you expect them to embrace that? They are told, soma, you employ yourself, then you get money. It is not automatic. So Paul, that is why there is this problem, and we must know our youths. In fact, you cannot tell them to use the stairs in a story building, and yet they know there is a lift. This is the generation that wanashindwa, what is the purpose of these stairs, of using stairs in this story building, and yet there is a lift. A lift. You see.
Right.
Yes. That is the biggest problem we have. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe on the same aspect, just to speak also on behalf of the youths, is that I think youths have been duped for a long time.
They're only important when it comes to votes, when they're seeking, people are seeking votes, when they seek people to come and campaign for them. Youths are very important. But when it comes to jobs, placements, youths are usually put at the back, because when you look at most of these jobs that we're seeing, they are recycling the same old leadership that is there. The same old leadership that is there. As much as you're talking about experience is needed so that now you work with the old generation, you have to remember that right now we're in an era of digital era. We're in an era of change, whereby the old information that was there cannot be actually applied right now. Right now, even people are talking about cryptocurrency. This is something different. So you cannot depend on somebody who has been maybe working in accountancy for 30 years, trying to transition people to cryptocurrency, and then there's this young person who is coming and they understand what it entails. So what I'm saying is that they need to have this kind of balance between the youths, because youths are a ticking time bomb. These are people who are energetic. So once you don't give them employment, these are the people who are actually can take a country into turmoil, especially after elections. So they need to be engaged. And let me ask you, this is a question that I usually pose every time. When you give a youth a job, and when you give somebody who is actually aged a job, the person who needs this job so much is a youth. Because once they get this job, one, it will open the avenues towards settling in marriage.
Yes.
It will give them an avenue to get a family, to give them an avenue to get children, so many things around them, support their family. When you give this job to somebody who's aged, who has actually established themselves, who's around 60, 70 or something like that, this person doesn't need money to set up a family. They have a family. So when you're talking about prosperity of a country having the future generation coming up, it will be a huge problem, because right now as I'm talking to you, most youths are reaching up to the age of 35. They're even going above the age of 35, now going into the other age bracket of 40 years, and they're still single. They're still single. It's not that they don't have partners. They realize that they're jobless. How will I have a partner? How will I pay the houses? There are so many other responsibilities. So it will reach a point whereby even the population demography of this country will not be having the labor force, because people will be no longer giving birth. You only get married and you get because you have a stable job. Look at the older generation. They used to get married as early as even 20, 22 years. It was, the environment was safe.
Yes.
But right now, people are getting married as old as 35, 36, 37. And that one tells you that with the mortality rate, you'll only have an excuse of having 2 children maximum at 35, 36. So I'm telling you, the demography of this country is going to change with time. So let's give jobs to the youths, because they're the ones who require it. Look at the case scenario of Nakuru County, of which I was saddened with it. Around 650 people were laid off. It was in the newspapers, it was in the news. 650 people were laid off just in December. And those 650 people who are laid off, most of them, they are young people who have young families. That one tells you something. It tells you that we are actually losing out on the bigger picture of putting or pushing out the youths outside. And these 650 people, they have families. They are going out. And you see, that's what I'm saying, we need to have this posterity. When the government is changing, let's see continuity. Let's see how best we can work with the people from the previous government. We don't need to change the government by changing everybody in the government. Change the government. When you're coming in, try to see how best you can work with the people who are there, add on top, or maybe change a few, but don't change everybody because of their political affiliation. Because all this, it will go down into creating insecurity in Nakuru, which is now at a high, and so many other things.
Thank you. We have 1 minute, but before we wind up, just to mention, CS Magoha has brought in a new culture in our country, which is not popular in Africa, whereby you come from a high caliber job, and then you again come to a low caliber job. It is popular in European countries, but in Kenya, he has introduced a new culture. Yes? Was it good? Yes or no? Mr. Kibunja?
I would say that showed flexibility in life. It's good. To me, I love that.
Yeah, I think for him, he's a professional, and being a professional, his skills are the ones that got him there. So for him going back to the lecturing job, it's one of the noble professions. He's going to inspire more students. He's going to inspire more people to actually go into politics and even into ministerial jobs. So I think it is a good thing he's doing, because he has so much knowledge. It would be unfair of him to go away with that knowledge without passing it into other students.
Yes, I want to thank you, Dr. Kinyanjui Koimbori for coming to us this morning in Mini Morning Park, Mr. Peter Kibunja, who is a political analyst, director, AGOS APES Group of Schools, and Koimbori, issues of environment still at heart?
Yes, they're at heart, and as I'm saying right now, we are actually in sympathy and sympathizing with the people in Isiolo and over 29 counties that are drought-stricken. Right now, we're talking about Isiolo, people are dying, cattle are dying, and this is a matter of climate change and environment. So I think we came back from COP in Egypt some few months ago. We are hoping to see all that money coming back to help us in the aspect of adaptation and mitigation so as to improve our climate resilience. So the matters of environment, they are still at heart.
Correct. And with that, we come to the end of our program this morning, the Mid-Morning Park, the 18th day of January 2023. We are very happy for following us till next week on Wednesday, God willing. My name is Paul Kagi. I wish you all the best in the rest of your day.